Hey everyone, it's Natalie. So today I'm going to do a video on enmeshment, and I'm going to read some of this article for you so you fully understand what enmeshed parenting is. All right. Okay, what is an enmeshed relationship? At its most basic, enmeshment is about an unhealthy level of codependence that denies another person independence. While enmeshment can be a problem for couples or siblings as well, here I explain what it looks like in a parent-child relationship. What is enmeshed parenting? Enmeshed parenting is different from involved parenting. Involved parenting is healthy for a child and helps to develop confidence, competence, autonomy, and self-identity. But healthy relationships are also characterized by respect for the individual's independent life choices, along with a belief in his or her own abilities. Enmeshment takes all of this away. It's too involved parenting that comes with extraordinarily high degree of control and protectiveness and allows little opportunity for the child to make his own decisions. Salvador Muchin introduced this term enmeshed parenting for the first time to describe families characterized by a pattern of over-involvement in each other's life, which manifests in the form of poor boundary making in the parent and child's relationship. With children, enmeshed parenting can sometimes manifest as spousification or parentification, where the parents may depend on the child for their emotional needs so much that the child assumes the role of a counselor or turns down opportunities to be away from the parent. The danger of this is twofold. First, the parents start defining their self-worth based on how much the child behaves according to their wishes. And second, the child in turn learns to define his or her own self-worth by being compliant with a parent's needs. This eventually leads to poor confidence and decision-making skills and a high dependency on parental approval. Enmeshed parents and child relationships can become intrusive and stifling in adulthood, impacting the adult child's career and relationships with their partners. Some adult children may not invest in friendships or relationships as they burden the parents. Unrealistic expectations constantly weighs them down, and the degree of control enmeshed parents often exert can make. That doesn't make sense. I don't know. And the degree of control enmeshment parents often exert can make outsiders hesitate about building stronger ties. All of this leads to more isolation and dependence. I don't know. I think they messed up on the article. Sorry about that. An enmeshed parent-child relationship creates feelings of frustration, helplessness, and guilt in children as children struggle to accept their own deepest desires and feelings, which may be in conflict with their parents. When children are in pain, all parents feel the need to reach out, empathize, and listen. However, in an enmeshed parent-child relationship, the parent almost feels the same intensity of emotion. Take, for example, of an adult woman who describes to her mother her anxiety and sadness about her marriage. With involved parenting, the parent would listen, respond with love, and trust the adult child to manage her problems. With enmeshed parenting, the mother might feel anxious, depressed, and feel an immediate need to rescue her daughter, preventing her daughter from handling her life with autonomy. So I just want to kind of read that so you kind of understand it, because I mean, they say exactly what it is. But when you're dealing with your partner who's enmeshed with their parents, especially a narcissistic parent, you just don't feel like you really have a relationship with your partner. You feel like you have a relationship with your partner and their mother or their father or whatever. In a healthy family setting, the family allows the child and their partner to form their own identity as a couple. In an unhealthy enmeshed family unit, they expect to have their child form that identity with that family and not with the partner they choose. Because when you become a couple, it takes some time, but you figure out the identity that you are as a couple. It's very important that you find the right balance in your relationship where you identify that relationship as being yours, not the enmeshed parents, but you two. It's your relationship, and nobody should come in and tell you how to run your relationship besides the two people involved in that relationship. The problem is because the narcissist has formed their identity in their child, they expect the child to basically have an incestual emotional relationship with them and not have an emotional relationship with you as the partner where it should be. So what the parent does is, because they have formed their whole identity around this child, when the child goes out and finds a partner, it doesn't matter who it is, okay? It does not matter if it's Betty Sue down the road or you. The enmeshed parent will never like you. They feel as though you are stealing their emotional connection with their child and taking it for yourself. Now, every child has an emotional connection with their parent to some degree, but the narcissist has an incestual emotional connection with their child, where they treat them as a spouse, or maybe even parentification or spousification, I guess you want to call it. And so you coming into the picture is like you stealing their husband from them or their wife from them. So they look at you, or they actually look at their child like they are betraying the parent. The parent comes into your life right off the bat and acts as though the choices that you make inside that relationship is going to fall on them. It's not going to fall on you to make these choices. The choices are going to be made by the narcissist. And when you start seeing what is going on, you're kind of baffled, because you're like, this is my relationship. Why is my partner listening to their parent about this or that? Like, he shouldn't be making choices based on what his mother says for our relationship. He should be making choices based on what I have to say about the relationship, what he has to say, the agreements that we make in this relationship. And so it can get really sticky and messy when you're involved with an enmeshed narcissistic parent, because it seems as though your partner does not find the confidence he needs in you for this relationship. He finds the confidence through his parent for this relationship. And because the narcissist has trained their child to tell them everything, because they have this unhealthy bond, incestual emotional relationship, incestuous, that when the child is stepping away from the narcissist to create his own individuality, his own independence away from the family home, away from the parents. The parents freak out because the narcissist cannot identify who they are without their child. So when a parent has their whole identity wrapped up in their children, it's, first off, it's really unhealthy, because as an individual, you should be able to identify who you are, what type of personality you have, and things like that, without the need of somebody else or relying on somebody else. So this narcissist is afraid that if the child finds their individuality, that the child will no longer need the narcissist. And without that need and that control, the narcissist honestly gets injured because they feel as though the child is betraying them. So you and your partner might make agreements in the relationship, and then your partner might have a parent persuading them to do something that you and your partner agreed not to do. And then the next thing you know, your partner is coming home telling you that they did that thing you two agreed not to do because the narcissist wanted to do it. And so as a partner, you feel betrayed because you feel as though we had an understanding. We have formed our own identity as a couple. We have guidelines and rules that we live by in this relationship. But you went out and confided in someone who knew that we agreed to this, but purposely persuaded you to do the opposite of what we agreed, just to hurt me, just to have that control. And I know that in my lifetime with my partner, the enmeshment was really strong at first, but through the years it changed. When the narcissist realized that her child was pulling away from that relationship and making choices based on what I wanted and what he wanted, the narcissist ramped up the control a lot, but at the same time, it's like the narcissist knew she was losing this battle, and over time, she got less and less involved. Now, I'm not saying all narcissistic parents do this, but in my experience, the harder I fought and the more I stood my ground and kept my boundaries, even though she did ramp up the abuse, she ended up losing that battle. But it takes your partner also standing their ground and saying their truth and getting that respect that he needs for his decisions from his parents. Because if you're standing your ground and your partner's not standing their ground in this enmeshment cycle, the enmeshment will just continue. So when you're trying to, show your husband that their parents are too involved and things like that, you have to talk to him about, you have to start standing your ground for your decisions, your truths, and you cannot allow this narcissist to convince you or control you that you should live your life this way or that way. It's your life. It's our life together. These decisions that we make should be in agreement with each other, not with the mother. But I find it really weird that, when you first enter into this relationship and you see this enmeshment happening, you don't really know what it is. You just think, God, man, they're really close. It's kind of sickening. You don't know that you're about to be in a full fledged war with this other person just to have the relationship that you have with their child, because at first you don't really know that these people are narcissists. You don't know that there's going to be all this heartache and headache with these people, but over time you see it. And if you can't convince your partner to stand their ground, then the enmeshment will continue. It will get worse. And the narcissist will start doing things on purpose to piss you off, to get you to react. And we all know the narcissist wants us to react so they can play the victim to their child and turn around to that enmeshed child and say, how can you allow her to say these things to me? How can you allow her to do this to me? I'm your mother. Don't you love me? Putting this guilt trip, which then in return can convince your partner that you are who the narcissist says you are when they discredit your character. And then the narcissist's whole plan to get their incestual relationship back on track is to kick you out of their child's life. So however it is that the narcissist can, however the narcissist can make you disappear, they're going to do it. So even if they're smearing and lying about you, they don't care. They don't care. But, I know personally when I was up against this for a few years before I really knew what was going on, I'm not going to lie. I asked my husband if he had a sexual relationship with his mother. I did. The enmeshment was so bizarre, and I just thought, what is wrong with, I could not, it was creepy. She was doing creepy stuff, and he was following right behind her, and I just kept thinking, do they have a sexual relationship? I mean, honestly, it was creepy. I just, I couldn't figure out why his mother was acting like a jealous girlfriend all the time. I couldn't understand that even when we were in our 20s and 30s, she still was trying to control our relationship even after we got married. And it just seemed like this whole war that she started with me was because she was jealous of me and envious of the relationship I had with her child. And I was thinking, you're his mother. He has a special place in his heart for you. I'm his girlfriend, his sexual partner. That's totally different than having a relationship with your mother. But the way that she was acting was I didn't have the right to that sexual relationship with her child. And I didn't have the right to be in love with her child. That was solely hers. And I mean, really, I really did ask at the time we were dating, my husband, my boyfriend, please tell me the truth. Are you having sex with your mom, or did you have sex with your mom? And he said no. And to be honest, I really didn't believe him. And I know that seems so weird, but the behaviors, for instance, every time we were around his mom was touching him and rubbing his shoulders and rubbing his feet and scratching his back and hanging on him and kissing him on his lips, and just off the wall creepy stuff. Things that I should be doing as his wife. And it always made me feel really, really uncomfortable. But it's almost every time we were around her, she was purposely doing this to show dominance in that relationship. I don't know. It was just a weird scenario that she would put me in, an uncomfortable situation she'd put me in to make me realize, no, I'm the number one woman in his life. And it creeped me out. And I won't lie, that behavior that him and his mom had, that relationship at that time, I started finding my husband disgusting. I started looking at that relationship like, this is abnormal. Like, this creeps me out. This woman's creepy. She's like, just like, I don't know, doing stuff that a mother should not be doing. Maybe when like they're a little kid or something, right? Like 5 years old or 7 years old or something, but not in your late, like in your 20s and 30s. So it took me a long time to get over that weird scenarios that she would do. But over time, the more I stood firm in my boundaries, the more I talked to my partner and pointed out these creepy behaviors, the more he was in agreement with it. The more he was like, wow, you're right, Natalie. I never really saw it that way. But yeah, you know, I'm going to start asking her not to touch me and rub me and stuff like that, because it's like, what mother rubs their child like that? Like, I can't even explain the creepiness of it. But so he started, you know, if she would come and touch him, he'd walk away or say, no, thank you, Mom. I don't need to be rubbed. And then she kind of started seeing that so she might make a decision for my husband's relationship, right? But even though she made that decision, my husband didn't make the same decision that she made. And she started seeing that over time, because she would say, oh, well, y'all need to do this or you need to do that. He'd come back and tell me, like, my mom said I should do this. And I'd be like, no, we wouldn't do what she wanted. And then it would upset her. But over time, over the years, she saw that I don't care what your decisions are. I don't care what you have to say about my relationship. I'm not making choices based off of what you want. And that's, you know, right around that time too, she started ramping up the abuse, smearing me really bad, telling everyone how horrible I was, saying that I was taking her son down a dark road, that he was making bad decisions because of me, that I was nothing but a big mess up, and that I was messing up her son's life. And all this just because he was being an individual, making his own, choices in life. So she blamed me for her son making grown-up choices, regardless if they have consequences or not, letting him learn those consequences and supporting his decisions. Instead, she was just being nasty and ugly to me because her son was growing up. And so they do ramp up the abuse, but at the same time, stand firm, show them, I don't care what you have to say, I don't care what you have to do. You have to start talking to your partner about, hey, no, we come to an agreement in our relationship. That's the agreement we're making. I don't care what your mother has to say. You make the agreement that you and I in this unit make. You agree to that, then you make that decision. You don't go back and go tell your mom or dad that you're going to do this, and then them disagree and say, and them tell you, no, you're going to do that. No, you got to start talking to your partner about the decisions he's making, and explain to him that his mother's opinions do not form your relationship. His mother's decisions do not form your relationship, that you two form that relationship, that identity as a couple. But they definitely can do some creepy ass stuff. And all I can say is bear with it for a short time. Stand your ground. Eventually the enmeshment will calm down. But they really ramp up this enmeshment tactic when you first come into the picture, because they feel as though you're stealing their child from them. And really, this enmeshment is what all the fighting is all about. That you are stealing their child. Stealing their identity. If this enmeshment wasn't here in this relationship with the parent and child, your partner and their parent, I don't think the abuse would be going on the way it is. Because that's basically what makes them a narcissist, is depending on other people to identify who they are as a person, to listen to their opinions and decisions, and to do what they say, and to follow their rules because they're authoritarian. But when they stop having people follow their rules, their decisions, and listening to their opinions, you cause an injury and they don't know what to do. So what do when a narcissist is injured? They come back after you. Because how dare you injure them? Who do you think you are? So yeah. All right, guys. I hope you like it. Peace, love, harmony. See ya.